Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up YouTube channel. Burundi, today we are going over Team Canada for the Olympics. We're going over the Milan Olympics, what we think Team Canada should be. We are not projecting what we think the actual team will be. That involves biases from GMs, coaches, just Hockey Canada in general. They look at things differently than you or I would, or most people would, for a couple different reasons. So we're going to put together the best team. This should be coming out on the Tuesday. On Wednesday, we know that Hockey Canada will be announcing the Olympic roster. And yeah, after that on the podcast, we'll probably compare what ours is to theirs. Maybe see which roster we like better. Maybe they thought of something we didn't. And yeah, let's go over who we think deserves to represent Canada at the Olympics. Do we want to start with the forwards?
Yeah, I think starting off with the forwards is the easiest to do, the best place to start.
Definitely the most contentious position, I think, for most people. That's the big arguments are usually about the forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where most of the discussions and debates come in, is more so around the forwards than the defensemen. With the forwards, worth noting, Sidney Crosby, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, Brayden Point, and Sam Reinhart are 5 forwards who are already confirmed to the team. They've already been announced already, so there's no debating if those guys are going to be on the team, off the team. And, I assume both of us have these 5 on the team regardless, but even if we didn't, we have to include them because it's official. They're going to be on the team, so that's 5 of your top 9 right there, already named to the team.
The 6 players already announced that's pretty much the only rule we have, is that they have to be on our best team because they would have to be. They're the only ones guaranteed. Obviously, those 5 forwards and the other one, we'll get to it later, but Cale, Makar already confirmed for the team as well.
To no one's surprise.
No, anyone not having Makar on the team is clearly doing it like trying to rage bait. Like but it's so obvious that doesn't even need to be said. But as far as the forwards go, we haven't come up with this beforehand. We're kind of going through, and we're going to do this live and figure out the team. But I guess we'll start. Burundi, what do you think the first line should look like?
I kind of did like a mini mock team sort of thing.
Okay.
So obviously Connor McDavid is, if you're Canada, you're basically running a 1A, 1B line. That's just with the talent you have and the pairing of, MacKinnon and Crosby. You kind of know they're going to be together. So, and then McDavid's going to take care of that other line in the top 6. So, I was kind of just spitballing ideas around, and right now I kind of sat with Connor McDavid, with Connor Bedard, and Mitch Marner.
That's a nice line.
Mitch Marner, isn't one of those guys that's already confirmed and named to the team, but we all know he's going to be on the team.
He should
Connor
be on
Point
the team.
Guy is a phenomenal two-way guy and had some huge moments for Canada and the Four Nations earlier this year. And Connor Bedard, there's a little bit of concern about, health-wise right now, dealing with the injury. But I believe it was yesterday, because we are recording this on the 29th. Yesterday, he was back on the ice practicing. So he's already back on the ice, and
that's probably not,
which is a great sign for.
That's probably not a coincidence either. I feel like he's probably trying to show in those last few days, hey, look, I'm already on the track to be back on the ice. Like, don't worry about my health. Like, that's him sending the statement to Team Canada. Hey, I'm good. Put me on the damn team. And like, I'm seeing some people be like, I don't know if Bedard should be on the team. And because of that, they're like, if he is on, he sneaks onto a 4th line. No, if you're having him on, you're probably having him in a top 6 role, because he's not going out there and grinding against the lower lines, right? Like, he's there for his offensive skill, and putting him out there with McDavid and Marner would help that flourish. Marner would keep him in check. Marner's actually been, I think he's been even better than in years past defensively. I think he's doing incredible work defensively this year. So yeah, for a first line, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah,
I think
and
Marner could also
everything
be like a
for
dream depth winger, like on a third line, but he's one of those guys like you could put him on any line and it'll make sense on this
yeah,
team.
he kind of just works with whoever, right? And with Bedard, people are he's kind of the one guy that a lot of people are back and forth on. Will he be on the team? Won't he? Every area that people had concerns with Bedard, he's kind of erased already in this season in only 31 games. People were saying he's awful defensively. He's still not great defensively by any means, but he has cleaned up his defensive game at least a little bit. Like he's actively trying to, and it
Yeah.
is also tough on Chicago to be this elite defensive player when you're playing on a bottom team in the league, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. And being soft on the puck, not being very aggressive. How many times have we seen Bedard start a scrum and, show some emotion and fire? And the biggest thing is people worried about his goal scoring. He came in, was supposed to have this generational shot and be this elite goal scorer. First in the league, 22 goals in 68 games. Last year, 23 goals in 82 games. And this year already, 19 goals in 31 games and 44 points. So going to smash his career high in goals and points this season.
Even with the injury.
Yeah,
Like,
even with the injury, like not even going to be playing the full 82 games. So he's actively improved in every area of the game, and especially on the things people had concerns with. So
yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer to have him be a part of this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. And Hockey Canada really left no doubt for him and Celebrini, right? Like they were like, it kind of was out there that like people were like, but do they have that drive? Are they still kind of timid being so young and everything? And Celebrini and Bedard both took that and said, bet. And they said, okay, I'm going to go out there and play the first half this season with the most fuck you energy you've ever seen out of a guy who still looks like he shouldn't be allowed to have a driver's license. Like the way, like you said, there's plenty of times Bedard's starting the scrums. He's not just getting in there. Celebrini going after guys when they hit Will Smith. He's in scrums too. Like they took the criticism, the few that people had, and yeah, they've made it to a point where if you're still parroting it, it's just because you haven't been watching.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we can move on from the top line there. We can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Do you just want me to keep going based off what I kind of have right now, and you can?
Yeah, I think that works.
Kind of pick things here and there.
I was gonna say we can at the end if we want. We can maybe talk out what we think the lines should be. But right now, I think if we're just talking about the players that are on the team, like maybe we'd have the lines a little differently. But those three
this
guys,
is kind of just the way I
on
kind of threw things together.
Yeah.
And right now, again, this isn't necessarily what I do for sure, but it's what I have right now. Second line, to no one's surprise, Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and I have Macklin Celebrini with the two of them. I think Celebrini kind of just fits. I mean, and it sounds weird to say, but I think he just fits better alongside MacKinnon, Crosby, and that's no disrespect to McDavid and Marner, but I think Celebrini plays a very similar game to Crosby, and you put those two on the wings and you have MacKinnon in the middle. I mean, that's just kind of a dream line there to watch those guys go out there. They're all not afraid to go into the corners and just battle relentlessly for pucks, and they can all score. They can all pass the puck. Like they can all do kind of everything. So,
yeah, no, I love that line. I think that would be absolutely filthy. The only notes, that I'm having so far is that it might be nice to have Celebrini or Marner or both on the third line, just because I think they could make an elite bottom line. But I'm also curious to see what you have as the bottom six going forward. So I'll reserve the judgment until we see what those lines are as well, because I'm sure you got something pretty good cooked. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have all three of those guys on my team as well, and
because again, it's not necessarily how I would have these lines, but just kind of the easiest way to go through and be like, this is kind of who's on the team and spots that I think they could maybe fit best. But again, just all kind of
it's easier to
off the
break
top
it
of the
down
head
line
and
by line than being just
yeah,
listing 12 players and then the 2 extras.
exactly right.
Yeah.
You might like this third line. Brandon Hagel, Sam Reinhart on the wings with Brayden Point down the middle. I think that's a very it can be
Yeah.
a feisty third line, but it's kind of a little bit of both. Kind of a third line that can score goals, but can also play some good defensive minutes if needed to.
Yeah.
And
Certainly a
you kind of
fast
have that
line.
luxury of with Point. If you want to move Point into the top six, and you want to move, you take Bedard or Celebrini out of there. I think Celebrini would be a better fit on this type of third line as opposed to Bedard. I think Bedard is
Yeah.
probably more effective in a top six role, like you said.
I
And
think
then there's
Bedard
other
needs
guys
to be
throughout the
top
lineup that
6 and
could.
Celebrini needs to be top 9 probably. I mean, you could have him on the 4th line, but I think a top 9 compared to the 6 for Bedard makes good sense. Yeah, I mean, I have of course those 3 guys on my team as well. The only one that's not guaranteed yet is Hagel, which I obviously have, and I mean, yeah, that's a fantastic line. I think if you wanted, you could go something more like Sam Reinhart on either you know the top line, maybe swapping Celebrini and Marner onto that line, having like Hagel, Marner, Celebrini in the middle, and then having
Could be, yeah,
Brayden
absolutely.
Point on the wing of Crosby and MacKinnon, and then Reinhart up with McDavid. Could do something there. But the way
Yeah,
you've got it, it also does spread out a lot of. You have an elite two-way player on every line so far as well. So
yeah,
you've always got somebody covered. So that's almost just kind of up to the coach's discretion. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
a third line that can score like that as well is super sick. So
Yeah, it's kind of a third line that can do a little bit of everything. Fourth line, this is kind of a fun line, and I'm sticking with it right now. Brad Marchand and Tom Wilson on the wings with Nick Suzuki down the middle. I know there's a lot of talk of Suzuki might be on the team, might not be, and I do understand it, but for me, I think he does end up making this team. I think when you look at it, he is a perfect fourth line center, 14 Canada, and that's no disrespect to him because
yeah,
that means he is one of the top 14 forwards for the entire country when they're looking at the team. And some people didn't think Marchand should have been on the team last year, but I think kind of the resurgence, it almost feels like he's having in his career since going to Florida. And then his run in the playoffs, I feel like he kind of made himself undeniable to be on the
yeah.
team and both on the ice and off the ice. He's one of the best locker room guys, kind of, and a lot of guys spoke very highly of him from the Four Nations. So
Oh yeah,
I think you got to include him there, even if he's not playing every game. I feel like he's got to be a part of this team.
yeah.
And then Tom Wilson, he's proven that he can be more than just a big guy that throws hits and fights. Like he can be a goal scorer, he can be a passer, he can do it all. And I think when you're Canada, you need to have at least
You
one
have
guy
to have
like
at
that.
least one on the
You need
forward
to have at
line for
least
sure.
one. And so I think Tom Wilson is the guy.
And
Spoiler
he doesn't
alert,
have to
I don't
play
have.
every game.
Yeah, he doesn't have to play every game, and I don't have Sam Bennett making it.
Me
Um,
either.
Kind of crazy after he just won the Conn Smythe and everything and all that. But
Without that Conn Smythe,
when you
he
kind of
wouldn't
get
have
down
even
to
been in
the,
the conversation, though, right? Like realistically, like
I think he would still be in the conversation because I feel like he's kind of still in that area with Tom Wilson, and Bennett had one of the biggest goals in the Four Nations, that being to tie the game up in the final game. So
but
I
like,
think
has he
there's
ever
always still
really
going to
put
be
up big numbers?
consideration, but
Like, he's never
no,
really put up
but
great numbers because, like, in Team Canada, even when you're bringing the toughness, you're no with the guy we're bringing, Tom Wilson. Like, he's on pace for like 40 goals and what 70 points. Like, he's still a good producer as well as being this huge force. Like,
yeah, but
we're
I
not.
think he was still always in that conversation of do you just take Tom Wilson and then that's kind of your only guy, or do you bring Bennett so you kind of have two just in case? And Bennett can be a totally fine fourth line center, and if they end up taking him, I'll be like, okay, I understand it. Me personally, I don't have him going, but I
Yeah.
can see the reasoning behind why some people would want him there, though.
Right.
But again,
Yeah.
I don't have him picked. So
Yeah. No, I also have all three of these guys on my team. So I'm completely in agreeing with you there. Personally, I think the first guy I would take off the team of these three is Brad Marchand. And again, I'm saying I agree with you. I would have all three of them on my team, but like I think a lot of people are very on the fence about Nick Suzuki. That's just me saying like Suzuki's not even the next guy on the chopping block in this top 12 for me. I think he's been that good that Suzuki should be on this team. And he's so good defensively, and obviously in a depth role, but I do think he should be there.
yeah, I Nick Suzuki 100% should be there. If I had to take one off the fourth line, it would be Suzuki for me, purely
Yeah. And I think
because
that would be a
there's
common.
probably
I
about
think people would
two
agree
or
with that.
three guys that aren't going to make the team that you can easily slot into that role, and um, I think expect the same results as having a Nick Suzuki. But again, it's just very similar players and trying to kind of figure out what you want your fourth line to be. Do you want it to be just a solid defensive line? Do you kind of want it to be a crash and bash fourth line? Like it really comes down to what do people want the fourth line of this team to look like, and I think that's kind of
Yeah.
where you have to make the decision on who's in, who's out, and but yeah, again, I do think Marchand, Suzuki, and Wilson all deserve to be on the team, and I think they
Yeah.
all should be on the team.
And
But it's probably not going to go that way.
I very much appreciate you putting Marchand in a good spot. I will say,
Yeah,
because there is a lot of people who want him on that second line. Some are calling it the first line of with Crosby and MacKinnon having the whole Nova Scotia connection and everything.
yeah,
And like we've been saying, Marchand's been great. Like he's been very good, but it just doesn't feel like he's been good enough that he should be in that top 6 just because of the chemistry with those guys. Like, you know, he's been playing
yeah.
great, but a guy like Celebrini, or if you want to put Bedard there, or Point, or Reinhart, or Marner, whoever it is, I just feel like you're going to end up getting a lot more scoring out of him being in them being in that spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So two quick things. That one, I think I was kind of on board of being like, yeah, you can have Marchand in your top 6, but that was before kind of the season started and before Bedard and Celebrini kind of made themselves undeniable to be on
Those
this
two
team,
are the part that make it
where
hard.
it's like you can bump down Marchand. You could even fit him on that third line, and I think that's
Oh yeah.
fine.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think once Bedard and Celebrini kind of made their statement to the league and to those on the committee of picking for Team Canada and whatnot. Yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of got bumped down, and that's fine. That's fine. Marchand's fine to play wherever on the team. If he's there with the
Yeah.
boys, he'll be fine and have a blast. So
Yeah. So
and
that
then
leaves
the
us
extras.
2 spots.
Yes, there's every team gets 2 extras. So
before you go over who you have, do we want to just lay out some of the options?
yeah, so I was going to list out a
Okay.
bunch of the guys who were kind of in contention here. I picked one guy that I think for sure should be, and I've kind of just got a bunch. It's like you can pick one, and maybe that's what we can debate between. But I'll list the guys off here.
Okay.
Bo Horvat, Wyatt Johnston, Zach Hyman, Mark Scheifele, Anthony Cirelli, John Tavares, Travis Konechny, Mark Stone, Sam Bennett, and the one guy that I have for sure on the team might not though because of injuries, but I'm going to assume he's going to be healthy and good to go, and that is Seth Jarvis. This is
I
a guy
love that.
that's going to be
thought for sure I was going to have to argue to have him on our team, but
no, he's undeniable. He is probably I mean, over the last year, a top 5 defensive forward in the game, and he's a guy that's going to be a career at least 80-point guy probably. Like he is that good,
a
and
lot
I
of them
don't think he
goals
gets
too.
talked about a lot because he's on Carolina. If he was in a bigger market or something, or the Hurricanes could go on real deep playoff runs. Like they always kind of feel like just forgotten about in the playoffs, despite being a very good team. Um, yeah, I think Seth Jarvis just again, as long as he's healthy,
Yeah, health permitting.
absolutely should be on this team. And yeah, I don't think you can leave him off at this point
Yeah.
now.
Honestly, I wasn't sure who we were going to talk about for the extra spot. I love that you brought him up because he was the one guy where I was like, this is the guy I kind of want to argue for one of the two spots. I'm not
Hmm.
really sure who should take the other one, but he was one of the guys. So I love that you brought him up. We can absolutely slot him in there. Obviously, it's hard to tell with health, but we're just making a mock team here. So assuming he's healthy, the same way we're assuming Bedard will be fully healthy, we would have him on our team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then then it comes down to picking
Out of
one
all
of those
those
other
guys we
forwards
listed,
that I listed off. Do you have a guy that kind of sticks out to you from those guys?
it's hard to say because I think a lot of people for the extra forwards lean defensive, but you don't have to be swapping in and out guys on the bottom, the fourth line or the third line
Hmm.
necessarily. Like you can be giving rest to Bedard and putting them on the first line, or you can,
Yeah.
if McDavid takes a big hit against USA, maybe you rest him for a game and move the lines around, and you have somebody you have to move into the top six. Like
Hmm.
so, it's it's hard to say, but one guy I'm leaning towards a bit more than the others is Bo Horvat because it feels like you can kind of slot him in wherever you'd need him. And you can say that about quite a few of these guys, but out of the guys remaining, I think he's one of the only ones that wouldn't feel a bit forced if you put him in the top six.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning Horvat, but I'm definitely open to
Yeah.
some of those other guys.
So I'm kind of back and forth between Horvat and Scheifele. I think, and again, very, very different players in the way that they kind of play the game in terms of the
Yeah.
offense, defense, all of that. The one thing I will say, and it's not my pick, but I think Mark Stone, they put him on the team.
You know what? He's one that are we doing him dirty? Should we have him on the team? Like because we sit here and, spoilers, we're probably going to say it in the US video, but I know both of us feel pretty strongly that Robertson should be on the Team USA, and people are talking about leaving him off because he's slow. And that's kind of our only argument that we have against Mark Stone. I guess the health injuries are a concern, but we're also putting Bedard and Jarvis on our team. And Stone's been healthy lately, and he's been putting up really good numbers. Like, personally, I'm not a huge fan of him, but like, fuck, he played pretty well last tournament. He's been playing well this year. Are we overthinking it? Should it just be Mark Stone in that spot?
And that's kind of where I'm at is I'm kind of thinking, I mean, it makes sense. It's not like Stone has done anything wrong or bad or his play has regressed to, go from a top six role in Four Nations to being off the team. But I think
Yeah.
when you're kind of looking at it as a whole, with your extras, you probably want a winger and a center most likely because you kind of look at the forwards and Marchand can't roll to the center if needed. Wilson, Reinhart, Hagel, Celebrini maybe, but again, I think you probably want him on the wing still. Same with Bedard, and then Crosby, but you're not moving him from MacKinnon, so you kind of need another center to take that last spot as the extra. I think.
I don't know. I think they have enough guys that play that center role. Like
They
Reinhardt's flexed
could,
into
but
it, has
but
haven't they?
but do you want to force him in there against the Americans if and be like because we have no other option, you have to, and then you probably then does that do Sam Reinhart any good potentially being
I mean,
fourth line center all of a sudden?
but like
Probably not.
as the
Whereas it's
centers, we've
easier
got
to put Horvat in there or something.
yeah, but we've got McDavid, MacKinnon, Point, Suzuki as our centers, and
Yeah.
then you also have Crosby,
But
and
but
then
do you want
Celebrini,
to
Bedard if needed.
split? You probably don't want to split Crosby and McKinnon up. Celebrini maybe, and I think Bedard you probably want to keep him on the wing in the Olympics. as opposed to, because again, Bedard, are you going to say you have to be? You said he's got to be in the top 6.
Yeah.
So who
I'm
are
also
you?
thinking for, I guess,
You
just taking faceoffs sometimes, not necessarily playing the position.
yeah, but
For some guys
if
like him.
if a point or yeah, like you mentioned, if McDavid, if he's got to sit a game out and someone needs to fill that spot, you
If
probably
somebody,
feel more comfortable with a natural centerman as opposed to.
well, if McDavid goes down, then I think you're breaking up Crosby, MacKinnon. Then I think you're probably going that as your 1-2.
I don't think you
Like,
have to because Point can, I think, easily fit in a top 6 center role.
yeah, I guess it's. I mean, it's such a talented team. So many of these guys can play anywhere.
I'm
Yeah,
for me for what I'm picking. I think I'm with you. I want to pick Mark Scheifele so bad, but I just
ah,
have the
I can't,
I
and
have
it
the gut
feels
feeling
so
that he's
goofy.
not going to be on the team, and I think same with Horvat because the rumors allegedly they're between Horvat and Suzuki, right? And so it kind of makes sense. Very similar players that you only take one. I would just take both and be like, you've got great options.
Yeah,
But some tells me it's going to end up being Mark Stone that gets picked. So I'm going to go with Horvat. I think his defensive play
I'm
has been
fine with Horvat.
phenomenal. He's one of the higher ups in goal scoring this season. I think he's played his way onto this team,
Yeah, and
and
he can
that's
literally
not
play
a
on
knock
almost
on.
anything, any line. Like the
Yeah,
first power play is pretty much the only line you're keeping him off of, and
yeah,
that's it. Like he could be
yeah.
second power
He's
play,
just made
first penalty
himself.
kill,
Yeah,
line 1 to 4, and yeah, it sucks. It feels like Shifley is in a similar spot to almost a guy like Bedard. Like his defensive deficiencies are just enough that you don't really want him in a depth role, but he doesn't have the level of upside that Bedard has for scoring on those top lines. And obviously, he doesn't have the being the part of the future, such a core piece of the future for this team as
hmm
well. He
yeah.
doesn't have
It's
that to
just
just
very
help him get over
unfortunate.
the hump.
Yeah,
It's too bad. A guy of his skill, it does not feel like he should be left off this team, but I mean, it's
that's the
Team
way it goes when
Canada.
you've got
It's a
so
tough
many
team
good
to
players.
make. That's why these guys are all playing out of their mind to
Yeah.
try and make it.
So we're going Horvat and Jarvis.
I think so.
Okay.
I like that.
To wrap up the forwards, and just because if a lot of people want to wonder why we didn't go with this guy, Wyatt Johnson I think will be on this team in the future. Probably on this team if Celebrini and Bedard aren't having the seasons there, and I think his playoff run last season has kind of hurt him. Zach Hyman, a lot of people are talking about him, and again, the only reason you'd be taking him is you have to play him with McDavid. That's just the reality
Yeah.
of it, and there's other better options in my opinion to put with McDavid. Where he went through Mark Scheifele, Anthony Cirelli, phenomenal player, great defensively. But if you already have Horvat and Suzuki, you
Yeah.
don't need Cirelli. You don't need 3 of kind of the exact same player. John Tavares, I mean, he did everything he could. It's just they're kind of going with the future of Team Canada going forward. Travis Konechny,
If they played in 2020, I think he's or whenever the last Winter Olympics would have been, I guess
2022, yeah,
2022.
absolutely would have been
That
on the
I
team.
think Tavares would have been on the team back then.
Yeah,
But
Travis Konechny, I mean, just guys have passed him. Same with Sam Bennett. I think Tom Wilson kind of took that role. And Mark Stone, again, I don't have him, but he's probably going to be on the team. So I don't think I need to
yeah,
justify why I don't have him on there because he probably will be. So
I think there's a very good realistic chance that Mark Stone and Cirelli end up on the actual team. Um,
I very well could see that. Yeah.
through a number of management things, and also just like Mark Stone knows a lot of the guys on the team. He's been there before. They love bringing guys back. So
Yeah, because we're sold on Nick Suzuki. A lot of people are, but Team Canada isn't yet. So,
yeah,
but we can move on to the defensemen. I've got so they can take 8, so three pairings, 2 extras. So I've got the 4 pairings here, and then I've got kind of 3 guys that just missed out because I think these are kind of the only guys you're looking at when debating this team.
yeah.
Um,
There's a smaller amount of guys in the conversation for sure.
yeah. Oh, and I will say with the forwards, actually, Morgan Geeky. A lot of people are talking about him. Great goal scorer, becoming a really household name in the league. Just isn't quite there. Aside from the goal scoring, he doesn't do anything else at kind of an elite level that you'd kind of want and that you get out of some of these other guys. So
I mean,
that's
like you were reading the insane stats like Bedard and Celebrini have been putting up and stuff, and like those guys are not guaranteed yet either. That's still a
yeah,
conversation. So
yeah,
if the guys that are what third and fifth in the league in scoring or something are really like, will they make it or won't they? And they're the best players on their team. Yeah, it just goes to show how hard it is to make this team. It's
yeah.
the most contended for hockey team in the world.
That's
Like
exactly it. Yeah.
so.
So we can start off with the defense. I think this is short and sweet, pretty easy. Devon Taves, Cale Makar. They're
Yeah.
they're stapled together.
How
They're just
sweet is
going to
it to be
keep
Devon
running
Taves, huh?
together. Yeah. Right.
Man, you hitched your wagon right, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's no absolutely no shade to him. Like respect, man. Like if you can get into that spot and play that role better than anyone else, you're freaking set. Like
Yeah. And there's nothing
if
wrong. He's
something
still
ever
very
happens
good
and
on his
Cale
own. And
Makar, if something ever happens and Cale Makar walks or gets traded, he should be demanding a trade to whatever team Makar goes to.
yeah,
Just like, all right, I'll go be that guy there.
because they work so well together, right?
Yeah.
Second pairing, I have Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko. Again, Parayko probably isn't in the top four. He's probably on the bottom pair, maybe the odd guy out. But
Yeah.
I kind of just threw him alongside Morrissey. I feel like their games kind of complement each other pretty well and allows Morrissey to kind of jump up a bit and know that there's some security back there with Colton Parayko. And I think what helps Parayko the most is being a right-handed defenseman. Canada doesn't have a lot of options out of all of the lists I put together. There's
Yeah.
only four.
Yeah.
And so, and he's just solid defensively. And sometimes that's all you need out of one or two of your defensemen is just good penalty kill, good shutdown minutes, and
Yeah.
make it easier to get out of zone, and then let your forwards and your defensive partner kind of
Well, I mean,
go score goals.
people were talking about him as the best, one of the best defensemen of the entire tournament at the Four Nations, Jacob Slavin.
Yeah,
And he wasn't, did he have a point even? Probably not. It was all his defensive play. Like the amount of times he's got MacKinnon, Crosby, and whoever coming in and he would break up a play. Like he does it like no other. And these, yeah, those defensive guys, especially when you have the offensive talent you can put on the other defensive spot on that pairing. Yeah,
yeah,
they're really valuable in these tournaments.
absolutely, yeah. Um, the third pair I got here, Shea Theodore and Jacob Chikrin.
Jacob Chikrin's made it onto your team.
I,
Okay,
I, I think a
is he?
lot of
He's
people
right-handed.
are. He is left-handed,
Okay,
but he can play the right side, and people have kind of been all over the place. Does he make it? Does he not? I feel like he's kind of made himself. Again, kind of similar to Celebrini Bedard, undeniable with his play over the last year and a bit since going to Washington.
well, especially just
He's on
this
pace
season
for
as well.
30 goals as a defenseman this year.
He's on pace for an obscene amount of shots for a defenseman too. Like
Yeah.
he is firing the puck, and I guess there's arguments for if that's good or not on an Olympic team. Do you want your defenseman just ripping it when he could be passing it to some of the greatest of all time? But
Mhm.
I'm sure he's smart enough to know the difference between MacKinnon's open for a one-timer versus do I pass it to Alexi Protas? Um,
Yeah.
no, I love having him on the team. I think he's been good enough, and for how strong Canada's forward core is, the defensive core isn't as strong. The goalies are even weaker than that, probably. I think it's definitely not a bulletproof defensive core that you couldn't have guys like him come in, and yeah, I've got no issue with him being in there.
And, Shea Theodore, he's always just kind of does this thing. Didn't really get to see him much in the Four Nations, but he's still one of the six best defensemen that Canada has to offer. And again, even if he's not playing every game, even if he's, one of the ones sitting every once in a while or something throughout the games, he's a guy that you have to have on the team because he is just he's in that category of guys that you can't make an argument for some other guys over Shea Theodore to the point that you
Yeah.
push him off the team. Like whether
He
you have him
is
in your
so
top
good
4, top
defensively.
6, he's one of the top 8.
I was going to say, so far, the only issue I really have is I think I would want a pairing of Morrissey Theodore on the second pair, just because
And
I
that's that
think
works out well.
Theodore's just been so good defensively this year that I think he'd be great to let Morrissey kind of run wild a bit with it, kind of be a little bit of a halfway
And then
forward.
you can put a Chikrin and Parayko together. That's
Still great
just
too.
as good. Yeah. And then the 2 extras. Some people might agree with this, some might not. 2 very different players, 2 very different
How many
ends
guys do
of
we have
their.
vying for this role at this
For
point?
these last 2 spots, it came down to 5 for me.
About
Well,
5?
I guess actually 6. 6.
All right.
And I went with this because I would love to see both these guys on the team, and I think it would just be a blast. And that is Matthew Schaefer and Drew Doughty.
Okay.
2 very, very kind of different players, and again, very opposite ends of their careers and whatnot. But again, I think Schaefer's one of those guys where, what has he done wrong this year? He's been elite defensively. He has been elite offensively. And the only knock people have on him is he's 18 years old. The only reason people don't have him on the team is he's too young. Okay, and what does age have to do with this? Honestly, though, if he
fell off in November or something, fine. But he just hasn't fallen off. He's just been so good.
And he's only continuing to get better. He is going to be probably by the Olympics in 2030. It's going to be him and Makar on that top pair.
Probably, yeah.
And so again, people say, "Oh, he's too young," and he's still one of the best defensemen in the league so far this season. And
I'd put a 12-year-old on the team if he was putting up good enough numbers. If they're good enough, they should be there. And he has given no reason to not have him on there.
Yeah.
He's not, some of these young guys come in and they're a little bit more afraid of contact a lot of the time. Maybe they don't want to block shots as much. There's none of that with him. He's been doing it all there, and he's been eating a ton of minutes. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible character on him as well. Just the guy he is. I think he'd be loved in the locker room. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Schaefer should be there. And then Drew Doughty. I think Drew Doughty does end up making the actual team. I don't think I would have him on my team. And that's
and I get that. Absolutely.
That's not really a knock on Doughty, obviously. He's been incredible. I just think there's some other guys you could have in there that might be able to do more different jobs. As that extra guy.
I would agree with you on that. The thing that, and again, it's kind of nitpicky, but the thing that sets a Doughty apart is the fact that he's a right-handed defenseman. And I think if you are taking 8 defensemen, you should at least have 3 right-handed defensemen. Instead of 6 left-handed defensemen, only 2 right-handed defensemen. Especially one of the other right-handed defensemen is Colton Parayko, who is a guy that maybe could come out of the lineup for one of those extras. And I think just having a good, solid veteran like Drew Doughty, who still plays a solid game, and the results maybe aren't quite there this year, but he's on LA Kings team they can't decide what it wants to be, right? And Drew Doughty's not the only one on that team suffering from that.
Him playing under John Cooper would be a lot different than him playing under the current coach in LA as well. That's
absolutely. And kind of
it's not going great with their coaching situation.
Mm-hmm. Because the other defenseman that you're kind of looking at is Thomas Harley, Travis Sanheim, Evan Bouchard, and Mackenzie Weegar. And I think it's kind of a consensus now that I think Mackenzie Weegar and Travis Sanheim probably, unfortunately, don't make it. And there's still a lot of talk around Bouchard, and they're kind of debating between him and Matthew Schaefer. And Thomas Harley, I think, just kind of struggling this year, and on top of the injuries, kind of still a great player, but has kind of found himself on the outside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
No,
if Thomas
that's
Harley's
fair.
on the team, I
I was
wouldn't
gonna
complain
say,
because I do think he's fantastic. But
for taking out, if we were to take out Doughty, for me, it would come down to Harley or Uyghur. And personally,
mhm,
I think right now I would go with Mackenzie Weegar just because as that extra D man, he's left-handed, but he can play both sides and has for a lot of his career. So at least
mhm,
he could fit in wherever you need to slot him in, and you know he has an offensive touch. Most guys making Team Canada do, but you know he can block shots, he can hit, he can he can penalty kill. Like he can do all those other roles with the best of them, and
yeah,
he's kind of a guy that you can plug in basically anywhere except for the top power play, in my opinion. Probably either power play. I mean, for Team Canada.
yeah.
Um, so I would lean towards Mackenzie Weegar just because he feels like a bit more of a Swiss Army knife than a guy like Drew Doughty. But Drew Doughty also has the experience. You know, Weegar can play at the right side, but Doughty's actually right-handed, which is obviously a leg up on him. So
Mhm.
if we're going Doughty over Uyghur, I don't hate it, especially because I know it's pretty likely to actually happen. Um,
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at. Is I was kind of like, who would I do? But also like trying to think a little bit about how it would go. And obviously, Team Canada would love to have one more run with Drew Doughty. And yeah, I mean, considering how much he was injured last year, and they still put him on the team, kind of just coming off the
yeah,
ankle injury and whatnot, it's kind of like they're gonna put him on it, and I understand why. And again, he's probably not playing every game. Like that's kind of why I had him in that. For me, he's the eighth defenseman. I think
yeah.
Schaefer's probably the first guy to get a look in the lineup. And again, it's a tough lineup to crack. So for me,
I
it
think
really doesn't matter who you
is
throw in there
Schaefer left
because yeah,
left winger or left defenseman?
yeah,
I like you can put it in cement if you want it that Devon Taves and Cale Makar will work, right? So you
yeah,
don't have to worry about that. So you can go to it whenever you want. I think game one, you roll Schaefer, Makar, and see what happens. And
and
if
that
you
would be
don't
pretty
like
fun.
it at a moment's notice, you can change it right back. And they've played so many games together, it'll
Mhm.
be easy.
Yeah,
But man, if Schaefer can keep up and you can get some magic there, that could be the story of the Olympics.
that would be pretty
Like
pretty
who's
incredible to
his
watch those two together.
who's his defensive partner been? He's been so incredible. Who's he playing with on the
I
Islanders?
think he started with Scott Mayfield, and then I think he's now been playing with Ryan Pollock as of lately.
Like those are good guys. They're not Cale Makar though.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it would it'd be interesting to see what he could do, you know?
Yeah, and again, we're probably not going to get the opportunity for that, but I'm with you. I would
Try
definitely
it. If it
love
doesn't
to
work,
see that.
one blown assignment, all right. You're back down to the third line, second line, bench,
Mhm.
whatever. Move Devon Taves back up.
Yeah, and I guess kind of the big elephant in the room is not having Evan Bouchard on there. And I don't think I'm as low on Bouchard's defensive game as a lot of people. Like when he has those brutal turnovers or giveaways, like I'm gonna dogpile on that because that's just funny and how it keeps happening. But
Yeah.
overall, it's not like he's an awful, defenseman in his own end. Like he's serviceable. And that's fine when
Yeah.
you're getting 80 plus points out of him, but in terms of what Bouchard offers, I just don't think you need him on Team Canada when you already have Cale Makar, you've got Josh Morrissey, you've got even Jacob Chikrin, and then if you're putting Matthew Schaefer in there, like there's
Chikrin
if
kind
you're
of
taking
takes where he
Bouchard,
might
it
have been, doesn't
yeah,
he?
because Bouchard's not gonna you're probably not gonna have him on the penalty kill, and you could have him on the second power play, but when you've got other guys that can do that and they can play on the penalty kill if needed, it just
Yeah.
kind of leaves him on the outs, and so
Yeah. No, yeah. I honestly like and we've got other guys on our team that can play on that second penalty or power play. Like you said, Morrissey and the like at Chikrin, but if it's me, Makar's obviously first.
mhm,
You might at least try a couple of practices in Milan with five forwards and having
yeah.
somebody else quarterback back there. See if somebody can kind of fit in that spot. Like if you can, it's kind of putting a circle peg into the square hole. But if Mitch Marner can really cook walking the blue line, I mean,
It's not the worst.
you're out there to
It's
score on
it's
the
always
power
good to
play.
have options, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So if you need to switch things up on the fly, and something like that can work, then uh, you can use that to your advantage of having that luxury of so many good forwards. And yeah, if even
yeah,
just one guy can make it work, kind of being the quarterback there on the blue line, then if something's not working on the second power play, you can pivot to that. And absolutely, yeah.
100%. One name that we haven't brought up that nobody's been bringing up, um, obviously, but I think deserves a shout out because if not for injury, he would be stamped onto this team. He'd be as likely as Cale Makar, frankly. And that's Alex Petrangelo. And obviously, we don't have him. He's not going to make the team because we don't even know if he's going to be able to continue his playing career going forward. But he was out. He was on the team last year. He elected not to go due to injury. We gave him some shit. I know I definitely gave him some shit because it sounded like he kind of chose not to and wanted to rest up. And he kind of phrased it almost like he was resting up for the playoffs. Like it kind of just sounded like he was looking off Team Canada.
Yeah.
Turns out there was a lot more going on than we knew about, and he's got this huge injury, and we don't even know if he'll play again. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's too bad he can't play because yeah, I think there's very little chance that people would not have him on the roster if
Hmm.
he was healthy from then to now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of where it hurts Canada, especially talking about that right side of the blue line, him being a top level elite right hand defenseman. To lose that is absolutely tough, no doubt. So I'm glad you brought that up though, because yeah, he would definitely be on this team, but it's just not the
But
case now, unfortunately.
yeah,
And the goaltenders, I think we're kind of at the point now where they're picking between four, and so it's
sounds like it.
go with the three you want. Who do you got for goalies?
First off, I got Jordan Binnington. Um, Stats this year, not good. Stats last year, before the Four Nations, also not good. He won us that gold medal game. The amount of saves he had to make in that overtime was insane. The quality of them was insane. But it's beating a dead horse at this point. But the dude came up clutch, and you at least have to give him a chance. You're bringing three goalies. If you don't like what you see, you can change it. But he has to be on this roster somewhere, at least.
Yeah, like Bennington is gonna go, and he might not be the starter, but I mean, yeah, with what he did last year in the Four Nations, and even kind of struggled in the regular season last year, still showed when this team's in front of him, he can get the job done, and so absolutely deserves to be there. And then, kind of from what everybody kind of knows now, is the debate between Logan Thompson, Darcy Kemper, Mackenzie Blackwood. For me, it's a pretty easy
I'm hearing a
choice, I
lot of
think.
Scott Wedgwood in there as well.
Yeah, people. Yeah,
I don't have him on the team,
I don't.
but like
I
he's
understand why
been.
people are talking about him, but I never considered him
I
for
mean,
this
like
this team
yeah, like
because
he's
people are
been
saying, "Oh,
incredible
he's
this year.
having a good season," but like it's not like
He's been a career
the
backup.
Schaefer, the Celebrini, Bedard, the guys that are going to be the future of Team Canada here and young, like Scott Wedgwood is. Yeah, he's been a career back that's playing in front of the best team in the entire league, and
The
he
top
still had to be
five
very
players in plus
good
minus
to.
are all Avalanche. Like
Yeah, and
it's
it's not like Scott Wedgwood's being carried by the Avalanche or anything, but if he was on the Edmonton Oilers, we wouldn't be
yeah.
debating if he's on the team
And
or
I will say,
whatnot, right?
because some people might be thinking this, um, but we're judging him based on he's playing in behind a good team. He'd be on an even better team with Team Canada, so he already knows how to play backstopping an elite squad. Um, but he's also going to be facing some of the most elite squads in the world in Team USA, Team Sweden, Team Finland, and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, there's just not enough proof of concept that he can be the guy, and
Yeah.
there's also good options. If he was playing like this last year, I wouldn't be against having him on Four Nations because it didn't feel like we had as many elite options. But
Yeah, because they had Aiden Hill and Sam Montembeau, who aren't even in the conversation this
neither of
year
them are
for the
really. Yeah,
team. Um, the goalie that I'm just missing out is Mackenzie Blackwood. And again,
I agree.
he's a phenomenal goalie, but kind of back and forth with him on injuries this year, and that's kind of been the biggest knock on him throughout his career. Is we've always known he's been a good goalie, but it's injuries. And Logan Thompson for me is a lock with everything
Yeah,
he's done over the past couple years with Washington. And then I went with Darcy Kemper.
I completely agree on both of
He's
those
a
picks.
a Stanley Cup winning goalie in his own right, and he has just been solid. Everywhere. He was the driving force behind the LA Kings last year. In reality,
Yeah, he was a
and even
Vezina
on a
finalist.
mediocre Kings team,
Very
he's
quietly
still
a top
having a
3 goalie
solid
in the league.
season. Yeah, so there wasn't really any debate for me on the goalies. I've been pretty locked
I
in on
completely agree.
these three being the guys for the last 4 months.
Honestly, yeah, I completely agree. Like but Thompson and Kemper should be the 1 and 2 realistically. Um, but goalies are voodoo, and Jordan
Yeah.
Binnington also just feels immovable off this team because of what he's done for St. Louis in the playoffs, for Team Canada at Four Nations. He just
Mhm.
shows up in those big games, and yeah, I have the exact same 3 goalies, and
Yeah, Binnington doesn't
I
need to
really
come in
wonder
and be the
if
starter.
yeah. I really wonder if they'll have Logan Thompson on the official roster. We've talked about this plenty on the podcast, so we'll make it brief. But you know, the some of the higher ups on the team, the ones specifically from Vegas, they don't love his attitude, especially the way he kind of forced himself out of Vegas because he wanted to be a starter, and they just extended Aiden Hill, and they're like, "Well, we want a guy who is okay being a backup." And come on, being a backup on an NHL team versus being a backup on Team Canada is very different.
I
Logan
think
Thompson's got to
he'll
know
end
that.
up being on the team because
I hope
again,
so.
yeah, Canada's just not flush with options, and especially now when Sam Montembeau is not even a consideration, like at all. And then
No,
Aiden
he's in
Hill
the
with the
AHL.
injuries, Blackwood dealing with the injuries, and then
Aiden
so are
Hill
you really going to
injuries.
take Scott Wedgwood over Logan Thompson?
I'm
Probably
not going to
not.
argue for it. I'm just going to throw a name out there. Some people might be thinking it because realistically, most teams aren't using their third goalie, right?
Mhm.
A lot of the times it's for vibes. Is there a case for a Marc-Andre Fleury for vibes?
No, no,
No, you don't. You don't think
no,
the locker room would love that, and you pick the 2 other
no,
best goalies?
no.
All right, I just
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
see.
no. I've heard people say that, but I was always just like, no. You take three goalies because if a goalie goes down,
If you have Hellebuck
you
Ottinger, maybe, but we don't got that. Not
yeah,
only do we
like
have to plan
yeah,
for injuries, you also have to plan for some shaky goaltending
yeah.
potentially.
And because then say you
It's
do,
not
say
Broder
you do
Luongo.
take Flurry and you know Thompson gets injured, Binnington gets injured. You don't have to play Marc-Andre Fleury, and that's the reason you lose. Everybody in a position there in management, their jobs are done,
Yeah,
and they're not going to
that looks bad.
risk their job for Team Canada to. This is cool. This is for vibes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they wouldn't risk it. I understand the
you
idea
can
behind
just
it,
buy
but
him a plane ticket there as
yeah,
well.
like if you want to
He
bring
doesn't
him
have
along
to be
and
on the
say, hey,
roster.
he'll be our goalie coach for the tournament.
Yeah,
Sure. You want to bring him along as an assistant coach or a
a goalie
whatever?
equipment
Sure.
manager. Like you can give him the most
Yeah,
fake
like
job ever. That's fine. Bring him.
and he would do it
Yeah,
and be like, this is the title we're giving you. You don't have to do any work. You just get to hang out with us for the vibes. There
yeah.
you go. Done deal. But I
One
think this
thing.
went on a little longer than we anticipated for this
Yeah,
episode here.
but it is Team Canada at the Olympics.
It is true.
It is a big deal.
That is
One
very true.
last thing I do want to touch on quickly with the goaltenders. just because we did see it at the Four Nations, Jordan Binnington was a starter. He had some shaky games throughout the tournament, and John Cooper trusts his goalies. And people always asked him after the gold medal game, where he was phenomenal. They were like, Coop, did you have your doubts? Did you think about putting in another goalie? And he said, no, Binnington was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I assume because of that and what Binnington's done, he's probably getting the start at the beginning of the tournament. If he plays bad, do you play him in those more important games near the end, or do they swap it up? Because it was easy to stick with their guy with that potential, but they also didn't have a great backup in place. Now they've got much better backups in place.
Yeah, I think this is quite a bit different. Four Nations, obviously, Binnington is, in my opinion, a step above an Aiden Hill and about 8 or 9 steps ahead of Sam Montembeault. That's just me being honest.
In the AHL.
I'm not gonna even budge on that. With the Olympics and with Four Nations, you played 3 games, and then it's just a final game. So there was only 4 games max for 2 of the countries. The Olympics, there is a lot more games. There's time between games, and you're gonna have some of those games that are gonna be a bit easier. Like, it's not gonna be every game is gonna be against Finland, Sweden, the U.S., and I guess Russia's not in it, but so they're gonna have more options and more time to, do stuff in between games. And there will be some games where, if Binnington had a rough one, you put Logan Thompson in, and see where he's at. And at the end of the day, the Four Nations win felt really good for Canada, and felt good for the players, but the Olympics matters more. And if Binnington's not getting the job done, I think they won't hesitate to rotate to, if Logan Thompson gets on heater, if Darcy Kemper gets on a heater, they're going to go with the hottest goalie when it comes to those games that are win or go home.
Right.
So yeah, I think they're just going to kind of give each guy a chance, and
a fair chance, and see
what you roll with what's working. And if it's not working with Binnington, you say, thanks for everything. You're still going to win a gold medal with us. You might not be the starter, but that's just the reality of it. You got to go with the hot hand.
Yeah. You know what? I hope that's the way they go with it. I think that's the way they go with it, but I'm not 100% sold. I'm not sure. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think if they end up playing about the same level, I think because of that clutch factor, Binnington gets the nod in bigger games. But
and I'm fine with that.
If he's underperforming.
If Logan Thompson or Darcy Kemper doesn't outplay Binnington, then you go with the guy that got the job done last year, can handle the moment, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they go with.
How all that goes, absolutely. But that is it for our personal Team Canada predictions for the upcoming Olympics. We will be doing same format here for a couple other countries coming up here. Brayden, you're kind of the big YouTube guy. You know how this runs, so I will let you wrap it up here for us.
Yeah, we'll make it quick. Yeah, this has run a bit longer than we thought, but thank you all so much for watching. We'll put all of our socials and everything in the description if you guys want to chat about it in the comments here on YouTube, or hit us up wherever, on TikTok, on X, or wherever. And yeah, we just love talking hockey, and we're excited to get those other episodes out. So this should be the first one of the next couple of YouTube exclusive videos coming out in the next few days. Team Canada will be first because we know they're announcing theirs the soonest, and pretty much the few days after, right away, we're going to have Team USA and Team Sweden at the very minimum as well coming out. So keep an eye out for those videos. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.